He said he would bind up the broken heart. He would heal the sick.
In class in 71. No, it's like a 71, 73. And I remember at this time, this is 3 years after the riots. You know, the 78, 68 riots they were talking about. And Dr. Kinley had made a prophecy. I heard this about 2 or 3 times. Various sources. I mean, not Dr. Harris has mentioned it. I've heard other people mention it. And then, you know, other people that are common people in the class, they were not official. But everybody said, he told them one day, he said, listen, one day you're going to wake up and find yourself under martial law. They used to say that a lot in the 70s, but like I said, mid-70s, 73, 74, 75. By the late 70s, it had died out, and they forgot about it. Very few people said, he said, you're going to wake up, but see, they thought the way that they were preaching, at that time, they thought it was imminently coming. You know, when the blacks were rioting with civil rights, they had all these riots, they thought it was going to happen then. And it never did happen, it died out. And I always wonder, I said, now what conditions would have stayed martial law? And then he said another thing. They said that Dr. Kinley, some one of them tapes I remember, he said that people wasn't going to take it, and they were going to revolt against them. Listen, you're going to find yourself now in that textbook. In the introduction, I think it's only one paragraph. On the second page of the introduction, he said that nations have went off the gold standard and found themselves in economic ruins. He said, when this thing finally come apart, he said you're going to live 3 and 4 to a bedroom. He said you'd be lucky to have a mattress to sleep on.
Right.
And that was said. Juanita Simpson. She's now in Akron, one of the places in the suburbs. She's a sister of Babe Hodo, former dean of I think, Akron. Well, she had got this magazine. It's like a Plymouth Report. I forget the name of the magazine. She had got it together. And she had got this thing together. And they read about 1 or 2 issues. And, you know, make a long story short, there was a lot of jealousy and everything. Anyway, she went in to see Dr. Kinley about something. She had wrote an article. This had to be back in the, I guess, early 70s. I guess the late 60s, somewhere around there. I don't know when it was, 60s or 70s. I don't know. I had to talk with her. But anyway, she went in there and she started writing stuff about the Roman Catholic Church and a few other things. And when Dr. Kinley told us, he said, he gave us saying, she didn't understand. I understood what it meant. And the day, he said to her, he said, listen, he said, you can't fight the beast here. That's what Red China's for. Red China. He said, you trying to fight the beast here with all this stuff you said down. He said, you can't fight it here. He said, that's what Red China's for. And he never went into any details. He said, well, what do you think that means? I said, that means we get ready to go to war. She said, what do you mean? I said, you understand? I said, one, these are the people that have taken over the government. They have usurped the whole Constitution. The whole thing has been usurped a long time ago. And they got their own private agenda. And Red China and Russia ain't gonna take the shit.
How there was this guy named Bill Ryan. He was an agent, and he came in and he changed the constitution of the school, which Dr. Kinley told people not to change, but he came in and changed it anyway.
I know Bill Ryan.
And he basically federalized the whole thing for the federal government to come in to make it a non-profit or profit organization anytime they want. Basically, he came in, he changed the Constitution, and he just up and left. And they never heard from him again.
Right. He said he didn't have any more time. He had finally got his law degree. And he got a law degree and he left. Shortly after that, he got a law degree. I think he got his law degree and he worked on that. He was in a New York situation. It's kind of a heavy-set white guy. Yeah, I know. We crossed a few times.
It starts with Israel attacking Iran. Now, this hasn't happened yet. There have been a number of indications that there are forces which are trying to push this into happening. You've only got to follow the news for the last 2 years to realize that the public is being prepared for a justification for this kind of thing. Iran is being set up as being the bad guys that deserve something to happen to them, and so on and so forth. Now, that's going to be the start of what is like the opening gambit in a big chess game. And the plan is to provoke Iran or China to retaliate. And our guy, our source, who is a military man, is privately as convinced as he can be, although this has never been made public and this is not publicly known, that Iran does have nuclear weapons. He believes that they have been provided by China behind the scenes. And all of this is intended because it's all right with these controlling forces that Iran has nuclear weapons, because they want them to be used. The plan is for either Iran or for China to retaliate after Iran is struck with a nuclear weapon. At that point, there will be a limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, followed by a ceasefire. He heard this being planned in this meeting. This is being choreographed. It's like the script for a movie. This is exactly what's intended to happen. And during this time, the other thing that's being set up for this, and many people watching this will be aware that this is being set up in the background. We've had a lot of information about this from a number of good researchers from many countries who are reporting this on the internet, that things are being set up in many of the Western countries for there to be heavy controls over populations, martial law, increased powers on security forces who are not just the army or the police, but in Britain, for example, our source said that he absolutely knew personally for a fact, that a very large number of private security people, their powers were being increased to give them the ability to arrest people, the ability to detain, the ability to handle riots in streets. And here we're talking about just regular people working in private security, people who give the parking tickets on the streets. Their powers are being increased in the same way. And last year we heard President Obama talking about how he wanted to have a sort of national guard at home in America ready to handle this kind of thing. There are a lot of indicators that this is being set up. And in this rollout of this crazy scenario, where it is intended that there will be a limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, the idea is that as the world looks upon this with horror, then they will demand from their governments that there are heavy controls over travel, over communication, over people who meet, over people who protest in the streets. They want to make sure that they don't have crazy bombers on airplanes, crazy bombers in the shopping malls. They want to make sure, and because people will be driven into fear by this, they'll request and demand and insist on heavy controls from their governments, which will be justified. And this is where you're going to kind of get the martial law situation in all the Western countries. It's intended as a justification. All of this is just the start. And if watching this now you're feeling a little bit shocked, this is how I was feeling when I heard this information, and this is how our source was feeling when he was hearing this information in this meeting, because this is just the beginning. Now, during the time of this ceasefire, everyone's shocked, everyone's frightened, everyone's really terrified about where this is going to go. There are all kinds of heavy controls over populations everywhere. And then the next thing that happens in this chess game that's being played is that biological weapons are released on China. He heard this being discussed in this meeting. They will release a flu-like virus that will be genetically targeted against the Chinese population. It's racially targeted against the Chinese people. It's designed to spread like wildfire and to knock out a large number of the Chinese people. And these people in this meeting were laughing about this. They said, China will catch a cold. Those were their words. China will catch a cold.
Folks running around here scared of the coronavirus. I'm afraid of Yahweh. Scared of no damn virus. You understand? I'm afraid of what my Father think about me and what I'm doing.
Right.
Am I pleasing him? That's on my mind.
All right.
Worry about no damn virus.
That's right.
We got to leave him one way or the other.
That's right.
It don't take a virus to do that.
Try to give you that, you understand? It don't make no difference how you leave.
All right.
Just say it.
I told you Yahweh finna tear this thing up.
All right. That's right.
This is just a little sampler
Right.
of what's coming. Schools shutting down all over the country. Athletic games shut down. All just for this little coronavirus. He's shutting them down. Worldwide, shutting them down. Planes can't fly. Ooh-wee. I remember way back when I first come to class.
That's right.
I was over at Alex Baylor's house. I mean, I was baby in this thing. And we were talking and Looking Cup was there. Yahweh gave me a vision. And I saw in that vision that the world has stopped. No planes flying. Ain't that something? Nothing. They just stopped. Yahweh made the world stand still. You understand? And know that I am Yahweh. You see what I'm talking about? It's gonna happen, people. This world gonna come to a standstill. They're gonna recognize. They're gonna give Yahweh his praise and honor.
Right.
They don't have a choice in it.
That's right.
They all, most of the world have heard the name Yahweh.
Right.
Here we are. He's called us unto himself. We have the opportunity to get cleaned up and in on into the Messiah, because that's the only place of safety. See? This ark represents that. That's how they escaped the destruction of the world back then. That's the only way we're going to escape, is that our soul be in the Messiah. The flesh ain't going nowhere. You can forget about that. It's your soul that has to be saved. Coronavirus can't kill your soul.